Finally! This year that feels like a decade is coming to an end. We're gonna put this terrible, horrible, no good, very bad year behind us at last. 2020, you can suck my quill pen. 2021, here we come.
God, I can't believe this year. Like, I thought 2016 was bad, but this was something else. Remember the bushfires in Australia? Remember the World War III scare?
Was the World War III scare before or after the murder hornets?
Before. And don't forget about the great toilet paper crisis.
Oh, yeah.
The hundreds of thousands dead from the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
My Aunt Phyllis cutting a big one in their Thanksgiving get-together.
Remember the aliens?
The monoliths or the UFO sightings?
I meant the UFO sightings. Didn't the UFO just annihilate the 3 suburbs of Bismarck, North Dakota?
Yeah, that's right. All 3 of them. Bye-bye, Bismarck. Remember the mummy?
Oh, don't get me started on the mummy. We opened his tomb, and then a great storm of fire and ice bombarded the land. Scarab swarms blanketed the earth. Toilet paper supply was cut off by the mummy needing to replenish his bandages.
Oh, it was the worst. It was the absolute worst. I couldn't wipe my butt without scarabs coming up through the toilet.
Remember the asteroid impact?
Oh, I forgot about the asteroid impact. A 12-mile wide hunk of space rock slammed into the Pacific and ruptured the crust, sending firestorms all across the Pacific Rim and blotting out the sun. There hasn't been sunlight for 10 years.
Wait, 10 years? Didn't this all happen in 2020?
David, are you forgetting about the Groundhog Day loop?
Oh, of course, the Groundhog Day loop. Right. The calendar was frozen on February 2nd for 50 years, despite everything seeming to move as normal. But the season never changed, people never aged. I guess that was nice. But no progress was made until February 3rd, 50 years later.
At least it didn't happen during quarantine.
Oh, but you don't remember the Canada Day loop, do you?
Oh, right, the Canada Day loop. On July 1st, the calendar froze again for 100 years. The Canadians were happy. Maple syrup and moose manure was on sale the world over. But still, it took so long to get through.
It didn't take so long. It felt like forever.
Oh, but not forever. We already experienced forever.
We did.
Remember the black hole?
Oh, yes, the black hole. How could I forget? A rogue black hole passed by the solar system on September 7th, and its intense gravity stretched relativity on a global scale, somehow affecting our calendars and making it that while it seemed like millions of years passed by, it was actually only 2 seconds.
See? That's forever.
But not quite forever. Remember the rapture false alarm?
Oh, right, of course, of course! Jesus returned on October 31st and said that every single human was unworthy to join him in the kingdom of heaven, and he sent us all to hell. But when a Google years passed and nothing seemed to change, we realized that we were already in hell, aka the earth in 2020. Realizing what we had all been through, Jesus said he'd give us another chance and come back another time.
Boy, this year has been a slog. The pandemic, the bushfires, the murder hornets, the World War III scare,
The ants farting, the aliens, the asteroid.
the Groundhog Day loop, starring Bill Murray, the Canada Day loop,
Starring...
Brendan Fraser.
He is Canadian, isn't he?
No, I was going off if he was Dudley Do-Right.
Oh, yeah, he was Dudley Do-Right. The black hole, the gamma ray burst.
Gamma ray burst.
Oh, don't worry about it. And the rapture false alarm. God damn almighty, this year has challenged us as people. Forced us to look at ourselves and dissect us to our very core. What makes us human? What's the point of living? How can we keep going when there's nothing to fight for? How do we know what to fight for? This year has been a great reckoning, and assured that we look deep into our souls and see for real what's really important. What really, really, truly matters to us.
Indeed. Hey, how much writing did you manage this year?
Not much, you?
Not much.
Man, we're such great writers podcast. Here's to 2021.
To 2021, may the Ritwit continue to help writers, well, that are apparently worse than us, the world over.
Oh, since the new year's about to begin, you know what that means, right?
What, Donald?
The Ritwit Witties, our proud annual tradition.
No.
Boy, it's going to be a blast this year.
Oh, no. No.
Come on, David. After all you went through last year, this ought to be fun, right?
No. Not the Witties. Not the Witties. That's it! I can't take it! This year has broken me! I could take the murder hornets, the time loops, and the imprisonment in hell itself, but not this!
David, come on, man. Come on. Oh, he's gone. Well, I guess I'll have to celebrate this new year by myself. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah! Happy New Year! We're finally out of 2020! Yeah! Look at the calendar. It's finally... Wait. It's still 2020? It's... December 32nd? No! 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 Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of The Ritwit, the show that dares to look at writers like Ernest Hemingway, Herman Melville, and Charles Dickens, and say to their faces, we're better than you.
I mean, they're kind of dead, so...
Even though we're most definitely not better than them.
Okay.
But it's the courage that counts.
And I think it's worth noting that, hey, they can't currently write anymore, so we are bound to be better than them. As far
They
as
can't
content
write
comes out.
anymore. But you know what? You know what's also ending this year is the year. Where this is the final episode of the year. And speaking of the ending of a year,
Because the year has anything to do with the ending at all. The ultimate evil has been vanquished.
the ultimate evil that is 2020 has been vanquished.
I thought it would last more. I thought it would last 3 more decades. The hero has made peace with their demons. There might be a happily ever after, or, it could be more bittersweet. Nevertheless, this is it. You like how we saved this one for last?
This is
This, the ending. This is the ending.
This the ending.
This
story
wouldn't be us.
end.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't make fun of each other. This is the ending. Last time the story was not over, but this time there will not be a next time. We're done. We're not going to talk about endings anymore after this one is done.
Now we'll talk about endings, I'm sure, at some point later on about some...
Well, not as a set about endings. Anyway, what are
maybe
ways...
some other part about endings, but not the types of how resolute an ending is, maybe. But I don't know. I think we've done this before too. We've done an episode on endings before. We had prologues and then we had epilogues.
Well, we had continuing ending starting.
Yeah, so
continuing
we've done endings plenty of time. We'll do it again.
Who knows? Anyways, what are the ways to inform your audience that this is the true concrete ending, despite what they may believe?
Well, make it clear that the main arcs of the characters have concluded. Either they got what they wanted or needed, they found some sort of peace, they heroically sacrificed themselves, that kind of just concrete, this is the end sort of stuff.
We're coming up to the big ending. It has the end on the hill. History of the World Part 1.
That's right. I forgot about that. Clear, definitive endings for each of the characters in the plots, that kind of thing. Maybe a
Sure.
where are they now kind of epilogue. All these can be a bit cheesy if done poorly.
If done poorly, but yeah.
Basically, if there's one big goal the whole series is hinged on, such as throwing the ring into Mount Doom, once that goal's over, it's a pretty safe bet the story's over too.
Yeah.
Although I guess the book version of Lord of the Rings, the ring is thrown into Mount Doom halfway through the book, because the rest is just resolution. And even the movie version takes about 35 minutes afterwards to end.
Well, I mean, falling action is the thing. It has to
Right.
happen. It is worth mentioning that similar to the first episode in this set, we talked about mostly resolved endings. It's making sure that if there are any threads that you aren't wrapping up, that they are completely unimportant. To the story at large.
Yeah, exactly. Like the main meat has been...
The critical question
Yeah.
of the story has been answered.
Yes, indeed.
And you aren't leaving enough of a question that's so powerful that people are worried about what comes next.
Right.
Maybe it's a reminder, hey, real life happens, and you just leave with that knowledge in mind. That's how it works.
That sounds dumb, but
I'm not sure if it's cheesier to add an epilogue or do what I'm about to suggest. But given how commonly these appear in books I read, it's fair game. Use an afterword.
Oh.
Or maybe a foreword.
Ooh.
It's completely removed from the story. It eliminates the barrier existing between you and the audience where you unequivocally state, it's done.
Like Ferris Bueller saying, what are you doing here? The movie's over.
But ideally, you're doing enough wrap-up in your falling action that it's quite obvious to anyone reading.
Yeah.
How that works? You've answered the multitude of crucial questions. All those events are processed. Mostly. Don't need to be 100%. See the next question. Your characters have proved their growth or accomplished the objective. If you don't feel like you could make this point, then maybe it needs to be a longer tale to encompass all that legwork.
Well, hopefully you've made this point through. You don't have to the problem with an afterword is it's kind of like just saying it's over when really the text itself should show that it's over, But
As I said, not sure which is cheesier between the epilogue or the afterword, but
Right, indeed.
but I mean, again, ideally, you've done the legwork such that there's nothing major hanging over that people are like, I have to know, and you're not doing any more with this. Why? You know,
Right.
you should not leave even the craziest of fans wondering that you're going to continue because there's something worth continuing. You need to make sure that it's obvious that it's over. Now, you could accomplish that by doing the epilogue where Harry and Ginny are happily ever after, or you could do that
17
by having
years later or whatever.
or
Or
you
19 years later, I apologize.
or you could do it by having the afterword that says, I am moving on to other projects. Thank you for your support. But most likely, it should be in the actual narrative itself.
Right.
Weird. Am I crazy?
What a strange concept that is.
We've discussed this a bit, but to revisit, does every single plot thread relevant to your main action have to
Right.
be wrapped up if you're not continuing or planning to go further in this world?
In a sense, I'd say yes, but maybe not everything has to be wrapped up in an entirely neatly sort of bow. You
I
know?
mean, to use an image, it is the week of the new year. But when you're wrapping Christmas presents, sometimes you just don't do a great job wrapping. It doesn't particularly matter if everyone's just going to tear the paper off anyway, right? But like if you're tying a bow, now my skill at tying a bow is pretty terrible.
Nope.
That's why I usually use those pre-made ones.
Yeah, exactly. Just stick that onto it.
You just stick
Great.
that on there. But like, it doesn't have to be a perfect wrap for somebody to still like the present inside.
Oh, I am a perfect rap. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Not that wrap.
Yo, I am a writer. Matthew Dawn is my...
You're going to kill the show if you do the Ritwit rap. All right, moving on.
But, like...
And for more on that reference,
But,
no, I'm
like,
kidding.
yeah, so the thing about the real world is that, barring death, everyone's story keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real end to any of it.
There's an end point,
Yeah.
but that is not truly the end unless it is death.
Right, like, however, certain aspects or arcs, if you will, do have natural end points. That's what you're kind of bringing up. Like, there are multiple end points. Like when we were at, when we graduated our respective colleges, that was an end point.
Right. The inflection point to the next stage of our life.
Right, exactly. When we broke up with our girlfriends.
It was the end of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But life continues on.
Yeah, when the two of us broke up, no.
When we lost pets,
Yes.
uncles, dads.
For more on that.
We had a grief episode. Go listen to it. Ding.
Ding. It should be like a sad ding.
Ding?
Like, no, it should be like a kind of like
Ding.
ding.
Well, you can't use a special sound effect for that then, I guess. Anyway,
No.
From the time we meet the character to the time they're done in the story, whether that's through death, the end, whatever, that's what we have.
Right.
But that is not all of their life.
No, exactly. So you don't have to begin a story with a character's birth and end with their death. So, like, there's more to it than that.
What
Like,
was it about you choose the end point?
yeah, exactly. Like, you choose the end point. Like, so write it like the character stories aren't completely over, but their arcs in this narrative are. Like, you can see, okay, what their big goal they did. Now, maybe they can move on to another goal that we won't see, but...
Sure. Like, so for a character as open-ended as Sherlock Holmes, where there will probably be another mystery, or where Indiana Jones will go on another adventure, those kind of things.
Right, exactly. Like every Captain Underpants book ends with someone snapping, Mr. Krupp turning into Captain Underpants, and he's dragging the kids off, and they're like, oh no, here we go again. Every book ended that way.
Until he finally ended the series. And then
I
he went
think
on
it's
to
still
other
going,
stuff.
isn't it?
No,
Oh,
Pilkey stopped writing Captain Underpants. He started working on a couple of other things.
my childhood has died.
My childhood died a long time ago.
You saw the Captain Underpants movie, right?
I've also watched the Netflix show, yeah.
They're really faithful adaptations to the spirit of those books.
Well, the Netflix series, not so much, but the original, the movie with, like, I think it was Kevin Hart.
Yeah, that's a bit weird, but... Like,
Nice flex, but okay.
I love that part when they're in separate classes and they run into each other and it's all sock puppets and they're running each other on the mall like, oh, hey George, who are you? You have different hair. I'm wearing a suit for some reason. And then suddenly different classes leads to different lives, which leads to robots taking over the earth.
Yeah.
Wait.
The zany things that came out of the mind of Dave Pilkey for that series.
Right. It's
Quite
like,
amusing.
wait a minute. Why are the robots attacking each other? Aren't they supposed to be friends? I don't know, George. You're the artist. I'm just the artist. You're the writer. This is why we need each other.
I love it. Was really cool how almost symbiotic their partnership was. You know? They complete each other because what one had in talents, and the other had like an opposite equally.
But
good
which is
talent.
kind of funny because they said that he was a good artist and he was a good speller. If you look at the spelling of that, there's a lot of misspelling stuff, and the art isn't that great.
Hey, it's relative.
But
to kids
they're
that
kids,
age,
yeah.
you know.
So I don't know. Anyways,
I mean, you look back at some of our earliest projects when we were at similar age, and I think you'd find a lot of the same stuff.
I did run into the problem of saying defiantly instead of definitely several times in my earliest stuff. But anyways, yeah, in terms of plot threads, though, yeah, probably best to wrap some up, unless you're trying to be somewhat ambiguous, like the pretentious pleb you are. But hey, we can't stop you.
For more on that, go listen to episode 109 of The Ritwit.
Dang, that one's just like a groan where you're like, dang.
You treat it like that. I think it should be deserved.
Oh, you're like, ding, yeah.
I'm not saying ding, hey, it's a great thing. I'm just saying it deserves the actual sound effect. Anyway.
No, I'm going to put the actual sound effect.
All right. So I used this image of a poster for for a movie, like a movie poster, but for your story earlier. Yeah, if it's top billing on the poster, it needs to be dealt with.
You'd like to think, yes.
I mean, if it's, again, I'll re-emphasize the question. Relevant to your main action.
Right.
Duh. But endings are arbitrary in the sense that life doesn't stop for anyone else, so not every single thing is going to resolve naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I mentioned the household troubles, your sibling finally comes back into your life, whatever it is, life will continue on from the point unless they are done in life.
Right.
But the story for other characters is going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's certainly a limit to how much is acceptable to leave alone.
Right.
There's going to be a balancing act, especially if you feel crunched for time on the closeout. Hey, why don't you give yourself enough time if you have that luxury?
But don't give yourself too much time. Yeah, hey, I'm hurting.
Well, what's too much time for a fan versus the creator?
I guess that's true.
Anyway.
I think the creator should be obligated. There's to, like... I don't know. I give Martin too much crap. I'm sure he's a good guy.
I mean, wouldn't you if you were in his shoes, that all of the things that he had started work on were being taken in different directions on TV and they were going to give you money to work on them? I'm pretty sure I'd take that route myself.
I'd figure out how to fit in the actual book while writing it too, I feel like, but I don't know.
Well, maybe that's you, but you're not in that situation, so how do you
That's true,
know?
I'm not. I don't know. You're right.
You're the one who's always dreaming about doing screenplays for Megazoic.
Anyone out there, any executives, make me an offer.
Make him an offer he can't refuse. For more on that, if you've never read the series, they are all available. So you go check them out. They are available print and Kindle. And let Donald know how good of a job he did.
Please.
You can review
That'd
it on
be nice.
Amazon. You can
For
shout it out on his Twitter. Tell you how to do
for
that
my
later.
self-esteem, that would be nice. I got fan mail actually earlier today.
Oh yeah.
Well, not today. Earlier, like a couple weeks ago.
Right.
It wasn't for the show. It was for
the books.
Yeah. So I can't read it on the later segment, reading the fan mail. But
if you really wanted to, but it's not entirely appropriate for the podcast because it's about the book.
Yeah,
but it was a very nice letter. He did tell me about it. It was kind of cool.
I don't know why I'm saying this like it never happens. This happens all the time, guys. I get fan mail all the time. This is just one of countless fan mail. I got envelopes just stacked up in my room.
He's not drowning in old copies of the book that he ended up doing a different cover for. He's drowning in fan mail, of course.
Yeah, come on. What are you talking about, man? All right. Well, what's the spectrum? Oh, wait, no, I guess you should ask the question because I'm the first one who answers in this set.
Yeah. Because it is an ending, there's going to be some interpretation on what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you feel good about it, whether the characters feel good about it, or whether either you or the characters in the story feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the spectrum of happy versus sad with this type of concrete ending? How happy or how sad can you make this?
I think it can go either way. It depends on the kind of story you're trying to tell and the audience are trying to attract. Personally, I think for big and epic series, I think it's best to have a bittersweet ending. Like, mostly good. The villain's beaten, the heroes have won, those kind of things. But there were some big sacrifices made, and the cost was high, you know? Like,
nobody gets through completely unscathed if you have this major revolution you're trying to win.
Right, like, that can make the story's ultimate conclusion feel very earned rather than, like, wrapping up too neatly. And I guess conversely, like, making it end, like, too terribly just makes everyone be like, what's the point, you know?
Well, and doesn't really seem like there's a conclusion so much as it shouldn't be over.
Right.
I mean, if you have, say, a rebellion that fails in its objective, some other discontent is going to rise up, and theoretically they'll try again until, all empires fall, right?
Eventually, you'd like to think, yes.
The Holy Roman Empire, the British Empire, the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, none of them survived.
The Empire
of the Sun also died out.
I don't know. The Empire died, but then the First Order came. Which I guess isn't an empire. No, it isn't. It's totally the Empire, guys.
It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. We know it's still a wolf.
It's a wolf in wolf's clothing. It's like, it's just the Empire.
A spade. Well, let's call a spade a spade. A rose would smell just as sweet by any other name. It's still the Empire.
In one-offs, though, like one-off stories, either happy or sad can work. Again, it all comes down to what kind of story you're trying to tell. But, yeah, that's just how I view it. And again, rules are meant to be broken. These aren't rules. They're guidelines, as Captain Barbosa would say.
Well, they're suggestions, From my own take, I know I would love all stories to end happily. Reality doesn't always cooperate.
Nope.
Especially when you have a villain who is righteous in their belief that what they're doing is right, and it's not, empirically proven to be wrong.
Right.
When you have those morally gray things that aren't just so distinct that an audience knows, well, this is obviously the bad guy.
Right.
How do you make that a good ending for them? You can't.
It's
right?
true.
In fact, reality is quite stubborn in the fashion that bad things will still happen to good people.
What is it that Thanos says? Reality is often disappointing.
My type leaves a predilection for happy endings.
Yes.
But if there's no struggle, we can't truly know happiness.
Right.
And vice versa.
Right, exactly.
So while the journey there needs a dash, or more than just a dash, of both.
A dash, a pinch, a splice.
Bam! Quote Emerald. Anyway, the ending should probably stick in one lane in terms of the plot.
Right, I think so.
Now, your cast might not agree on whether that's a good or a bad thing. In fact, it shows a lot more maturity as a writer to have characters disagree on whether this is good or bad.
That's true.
And that's natural because, of course, we all have our own thoughts and opinions. I prefer positive endings, even if they aren't quite realistic. When you deal with the realm of likely/possible, not all of them will be upbeat. Not all of them can be upbeat.
Right, but that's why I think like having it be mostly positive, but there's a lot of bittersweetness to it. I think that like for big epic stories, I think that's the ideal way to end it, is mostly good, little bittersweet,
So the lesson you should take from listening to the Ritwit Today, listeners, is that we tend to agree on this kind of thing. Our opinions are quite similar.
Yeah, maybe I should get someone else to do this show with me. You're kicked out, Matt.
See, that's me
your
would be
ending.
A sad ending.
But for me, it's a happy... No, it'd be sad, too. Get out of here. Don't look at me like that. What is it? Go on.
I feel like I'm about to lose my... Anyway, so
about to lose your what?
About to lose my composure.
Okay, that's good.
So long as you plan for an end, leading it to a happy or sad place is reliant on what you target with the narrative.
Right.
It's a fancy way of saying what Donald already said. It's likely your readers can at least accept the ending if you don't suddenly swerve to the other extreme, whether they appreciate the intent or not.
Well, yeah, you don't want a Deus Ex Machina, you don't want a Diabolus Ex Machina.
Well, what I mean by that, though, is that it looks like, it's going happy, bam, sad.
That's kind of what I mean, yeah.
Well, point being, though, your intent might be perfectly reasonable. It might not be just out of left field. It might be like just off the infield dirt.
Well, it's like
rather than all the way in the frickin' bullpen and the bleachers.
At that point, there's like a twist ending, but there's also like the cruel twist ending where it's just like, too far, you know?
Yeah, and so if you go too much out of the way where you already were, I'm pretty sure that readers won't like that, even if they understand why it went there. You know, because it wasn't as sudden. This guy came back and then, hey, look at that happy ending, gone. Pulls the rug out from under your feet, kind of a thing.
Those suck. No one likes those.
But at least,
except for artists.
But at least they understand why it happened,
right?
Even if they don't appreciate the ending of that nature,
right? I guess that's true. Yeah.
So what we're saying is, plan better.
It's so easy when you put it like that.
I do try. With authorial intent, can you accomplish the odd couple combo of definitive ending and having something that a passionate fan/friend/fanfic level writer may elaborate too much more?
Did you say fan/fran/fanfic level?
I said fan/friend.
It sounded like you said
writer.
Fran, but I'll leave this in so the listener can decide.
Because it's ambiguous, and for more on that.
God. God.
Fine, I will say it a third time. Can you accomplish the odd couple combo of definitive ending and having something that a passionate fan/friend/fanfic level writer may elaborate too much more after you finished working on the project?
Like I said super carefully there, just to make sure you didn't have to do it again, and I appreciate that. Good job. You're being definitive. And speaking of which, oh wait, we're in that one. Okay.
Speaking of which, no, we don't need to fuck. We're in it.
At this point, the iceberg's not ahead. We're already merged with the iceberg. The ship is just put into that iceberg right now. Anyways, there are some authors who are very protective of their stories and do their best to end it as definitively as they can so that no one else can mess with it. On TV tropes, it's known as torch the franchise and run.
The opposite of that being put all the toys back in the sandbox.
Yes, exactly. This, of course, is rather arrogant, as once your story's out there, it no longer belongs to you, as we've mentioned before. Like, you may be the official writer of it, but other people can take what they want from it or do what they want with it. I mean, within, copyright laws, of course.
Oh, there is that. They cannot profit from your work unless they have your express permission to do so.
Right. So, I don't necessarily think that you have to be consciously aware of ending it in a way that your part of writing the story is over, but other people might come in, they'll just do it anyway,
Yeah, if they really want to, nothing you say is going to stop them from thinking, oh, well, this character, what if they had this other option?
Right, exactly.
Because fan fiction usually starts with a what if.
Like, no instance of torching the franchise and running has been completely successful. Just end it the way you feel like the story should best end, and others will come do as they please, regardless of what you do.
Game of Thrones.
It's a lot of alternate endings for that one, I'm sure.
Well, Saga, Fire and Ice, to say the actual series. But whatever. Point being.
God. I'm sure George R. R. Martin, if he listens to this, which he's not, but if he is, he just mean like, guys, shut the hell up.
I'll send his angry letters in the mail.
And I'll be like, George R. R. Martin listens to us? That's so cool. We'll completely ignore what he says. We'll just be like...
Well, I mean, for my own take on this question, I've been hinting at this a little bit throughout, undoubtedly, because it's me. Just because you're done with the project doesn't mean you are the sole custodian of it once it's out there.
Right. Nice use of the word custodian.
Thank you. Inevitably, someone may feel like they want to take it further, fix something, go a different way.
Right.
And while your record after publication is official and thankfully copyrighted, there's no guarantee that any idea you placed on a whim and the follow-up to it match the image of someone reading the book.
That's true. That is the often defense people have if people don't like the ending. It's like, oh, it just didn't end the way you wanted it to, which, sometimes that's true for some people, but other times that's not the reason why the people didn't like the ending. But
well, and if the writer doesn't end it the way that they want it to end, then what are you doing?
That's true. Executive meddling, though. That's what's happening there.
Well, executive meddling implies that these people are successful enough to have executives overseeing what they're doing.
I say this from such a naive heart. I would like executives. I would really like
Count your
executive.
blessings while you have them.
Nah,
Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
No one likes executives. I would not like executives. I just want to be important enough that I could have executives.
See, that's the thing. You want the fame that comes with that, but you don't want the troubles that come with it.
Yeah, is that so hard to ask? Is that too much?
The grass is always green on the other side of the fence.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, because some things that you put in there as an aside, people might run with it.
Right.
Whether you want them to, whether you intended them to or not. You could give the story over to fans passionate enough to take it further, and who knows, you might even prefer their extensions
That's true.
to what you had in mind.
God forbid that happens, yeah.
I mean, likely not, depending on the story, and even I won't guarantee that you'll reach this level with your work to see people publish works in your universe, but nevertheless,
Right.
for purpose of this question, you rely on those minor details that don't need resolution within the proper narrative.
Yeah.
To throw it as another image, that is a doorway.
Yeah.
Someone may choose to open the door and blast their way through.
Some people might choose to lock it.
Some people might lock it down. Some people might knock on the door and ask for permission to open it gently and then step over the threshold and then go crazy.
Nice build up to that story. Yeah. Okay.
It's a door that they could choose to open and explore, or maybe not, even if you are already done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Pat yourself on the back. That means you've made it.
You did it! You finally finished the story.
Well, more on the you accomplished the story,
Right.
and somebody else wants to do something with your story. That's the you've made it part.
That's true.
Now sit back and watch as someone else tries spinning it to go further. You might not enjoy it because, again, it depends on the story you're telling, and
Right.
it's likely not going to be the same thing. You will not think of it the way a fan will.
Right. Well, George Lucas had his set way that he wanted. Well, his initial plans for episodes 7, 8, and 9, and then they were like, nope. And then they made what they made, which, whatever, but...
I mean, again, we talked so much about it last set, and then we're bringing it up multiple times here about creative agency. It's a blessing while you have it. Don't ignore how powerful that is.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
That's true.
if you're lucky enough to get to a place where you have people trying to do stuff with your work, that's an honor and a privilege.
But what you need to get to that point, you need to have your popularity start spreading like rabbits.
That's the new segue thing. You found a way to do it in every episode.
I'm going to somehow bring up. I swear, no, it's not going to be a new running joke.
No, please no.
I just had to do it for
Of
this.
course. Because it was the only one in the set that didn't have an easy layup for you. You had to work for it.
I gotta mention my lagomorphs.
What can I say?
Pay
I kind of
tribute.
like Lapine culture after reading Watership Down, as I mentioned in episode 108. But moving on to our final segment, because I think we've talked ourselves out about endings.
Yes.
But
let's
it's the end of our
this.
set, so we'll do reading the fan mail.
Yeah, fan mail. Yeah.
So as we come through the holiday season, this is obviously going up right before New Year's Eve, so a very happy New Year to all of our listeners. Thanks
Yes.
for listening.
Let's get through this damn year.
Watch it turn to 12:61, right? No,
Yeah.
I'm referring to the time, not the date.
No, I know.
Or 12:32 if you want to talk about the date.
Yes.
Thanks to all of those who are wishing us a happy Thanksgiving when we originally were planning to have this go up, or Christmas, etc., and so forth. We're just about as excited for a certain event soon, just like listener Tony P. in Colorado, who says, "God, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. Maybe the new year will bring actually decent advice from the show." Can I blame this on the pandemic too?
Our listeners are so mean.
I mean, we started way before the pandemic was a thing, but so obviously that's completely independent. But thanks for the review, I guess.
That's the nice thing. Through thick and thin, through the pandemic or no pandemic, our tangents have been pretty much the same. So, so they haven't gotten any worse. They haven't gotten any better. They're just
well, we'd like to think we're better than you, but our content sure hasn't gotten much better than it was.
Ain't that the truth?
So, from listener Julie C. in Nevada, I really appreciate your laughter.
Oh, thank you, Julie.
While it can obscure the content that you put out, derailing into tangents, it's a pleasure to listen. Keep going.
I'd like to think that, I don't know why I said thank you there, because your laugh is so much better than my laugh. Your laugh is like,
Well, I mean,
I'm sometimes like, laughs where I'm like,
Depends on which laugh I'm using. I have way too many to count. Julie, that kind of feedback, though, is really helpful. We obviously love laughing, but it's nice to know we could probably... probably is not strong enough.
I love to laugh. Ho, 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 ho. Loud and long and clear. It gets worse every year. Oh, God, hopefully that's not the mantra for next year.
We obviously love laughing. We definitely need to cut back on the tangent.
Here's a tangent about laughing, by the way. No, here's a tangent about Mary Poppins.
Fun movie. Anyway, the last one here, though, from listener Ray M. in Florida. Nice to see that the pandemic season isn't affecting my favorite podcast about writing on the internet.
Oh, wait, that's your favorite writing podcast? Oh, wait, he said writing.
He said writing. Next time you better mention my email. I'm probably the only fan down in Mike County. So there you go. Here's your shout out, Ray, and thank you very much for listening. If you like the show so much, here's what you can do to support us more. You can go check out Donald's Patreon.
Yes. Please.
So to do that, you can go to patreon.com/Matthew Donald for more information.
And you can get bonus episodes for the Ritwit and Paleo.
Bonus episodes for both of his podcasts. You also get early access to episodes for both of his podcasts.
And you get mentioned on the show.
You get mentioned on
the
show.
Website. And you get mentioned on the website
as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's it for our talk about endings.
That's our ending.
That's it for the year 2020 because
it's almost
the next episode we publish will be 2021.
It's like we planned this or something.
Weird.
Except we didn't actually.
No, this is divine coincidence. Anyway, that's it for us this week on endings. Very big thank you to all of our patrons so far.
Yes.
We hope you have a very happy, safe holiday season with your loved ones.
Yes, indeed.
We'll try to do the same.
Well, hopefully you've had it by this point.
Well, had it by this point,
New Year.
but New Year's is still a holiday, and that's still the day after this comes out. So anyway, if you'd like to get in touch with us, have any questions, episode ideas, we'd love to hear from you.
Contact us at mattsd@methodoncareer.com. And, if you like the show, leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That'd be great.
Or wherever you come to us from. If you could leave a rating, we'd really appreciate that and your feedback. So let us know if we can share your emails on the air, like Ray explicitly asked us to shout him out. So you're welcome, Ray.
We could have just been a-holes and not done that.
I could have just let it be. We could have found somebody else from Florida or from some other state.
No.
New Hampshire.
We're nice.
We haven't heard from anyone in New Hampshire. Get on that,
Come on, New Hampshireites. Send us something.
Send us something.
All right, so... if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me at Matthew Career on Facebook, at Matthew64 on Twitter, and Matthew64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because that's how many loans I've taken out trying to make a name for myself in the writing and podcasting world.
Oh, you're trying for legitimately both. No wonder.
So far, it's going great, David.
Yeah, I believe that. Aren't we the most successful thing in, Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwe, where you have $3 trillion bills because the economy is so bad.
I don't know if that's the reason why, or if it's just that their currency numbers are so high that they need it.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it for this week.
That's it for endings. Thanks for putting up with us, and hopefully you managed to get through 2020, and here's to a better year, 2021, with the Ritwit.
I'm Matt Donald.
And I'm Matt David. Until next time, where we have a new set for you in the new year, keep on writing.
Keep on writing.
And stay safe, wash your hands.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
It's not over yet.
Hey, there was a good comment that my mom ran across yesterday.
Oh, here we go. Another tangent. Here we go.
A comment that my mom ran across yesterday, and it was saying, the longer you choose to ignore social distancing, the longer we're going to have to do it.
That is so true. That's what people don't get.
I just wish people would actually take that advice. However,
of course
positive news about a vaccine. That's a happy way to end the year 2020.
It's true. Vaccines are starting to be distributed now, so yay.
From all of us to all of you, a very merry new year.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next year. Until then, bye.
Keep on ridden.
The Ritwit.